Good evening, everybody. It's Monday night, which means it's time to go wild. Welcome to the Time to Go Wild radio show on Halton Community Radio 92.3 FM. We're also live across the world on hcr923fm.com/listen and via TuneIn. If you want to contact the show, do so via social media, Facebook or twitter.com/ttgw radio. We have email, radio@widnesworld.co.uk. We have the phone 01928 835 291 and text 07716 672 874. Start your message with TTGW or messages charged at your standard network rate. I hope you're all ready because it's time to go wild. Very warm welcome, everyone. Yes, it's Monday night and it's time to go wild radio here on HCR 92.3 FM. And another week means somebody else on the table opposite me with a mic, a straitjacket and a taser to keep me under control. It's Andy Shutt. Good evening, Andy.
Evening, Colin. Evening, listeners. Got a fun-packed show tonight. We've got lots of things to get through, haven't we?
We certainly have, and it was a busy weekend across most of the leagues and a busy weekend at the rink as well. You were there with some events as well, weren't you?
Yeah, there was a Widnes Ice Skating Club Gala put on to raise money for Mind, which is a brilliant charity. And there was over 200 people there and loads of raffle prizes.
Oh,
well. And I won a very interesting prize, which was a box of wine, which apparently was taken out of my fridge and donated by my wife. That's one bottle of wine back.
Oh, well, we can talk a little bit more about that a little bit later on, as well as the rest of the events. But I think the first thing to do, as usual, is give you a roundup of the results of what's been going on over the last week. So it's time for the classified roundup of the results across the leagues that affect the teams that you probably know the best. Starting off in the Elite Ice Hockey League with Challenge Cup action from Saturday the 13th of October. Glasgow Clan 3, Belfast Giants 4. And on Sunday it was Milton Keynes Lightning 4, Cardiff Devils 5. Moving to the Elite Ice Hockey League on Wednesday, we had Belfast Giants 3, Guildford Flames 2, and on Saturday, Cardiff Devils 5, Dundee Stars 2, Manchester Storm 5, Coventry Blaze 2, Nottingham Panthers 5, Sheffield Steelers 2, Five Flyers 6, Guildford Flames 3, and on Sunday, Belfast Giants 6, Nottingham Panthers 1, Dundee Stars 2, Glasgow Clan 3 after a shootout, Coventry Blaze 5, Manchester Storm 3, Guildford Flames 5, Five Flyers 6. In the IHA Women's Premier League on Saturday, Whitley Squaws 5, Nottingham Vipers 6, Sheffield Shadows 3, Widnes Wild Women 1. And on Sunday, Chelmsford Cobras 3, Sheffield Shadows 1. In EIHA Under-13s North 3 action on Saturday, Deeside 1, Blackburn 7. In NIHL Division 1 North Morley on Saturday, Solihull Barons 7, Blackburn Hawks D1 4, Solway Sharks 3, Sutton Sting 6. And on Sunday, Whitley Warriors 1, Telford Tigers D1 7, Hull Pirates 14, Solihull Barons 1, Billingham Stars 3, Solway Sharks 5. But Blackburn Hawks D1 against Nottingham Lions was abandoned after the first period, and the score was 4-0 at the time. Now into NIHL Division 2 North Laidler. On Saturday, Hull Jets 2, Sheffield Senators 3, Blackburn Hawks D2 5, Altrincham Aces 10, Bradford Bulldogs 3, Widnes Wild 5. On Sunday, Sheffield Senators 7, Bradford Bulldogs 3, D-Side 17, Blackburn Hawks D2 1, Altrincham Aces 6, Coventry Blaze NIHL 3, Telford Tigers D2 2, Hull Jets 3. And the music's run out just as I finish the fixtures this week. So there you go, a roundup of the fixtures and results over the last week. So yeah. Whew.
Talk about the Blackburn game.
The Blackburn game. Blackburn Nottingham.
Abandoned.
Yes, there's numerous reports coming through, but it appears that there was some mention of, at the time, the ice surface not being suitable to be playing on. There must have been some reason. There's messages out on social media regarding that one, and different reports saying about who declared that it wasn't suitable to be played on. And
or pick any 2 from 3 to make up your own mind.
Yeah. The initial reports I saw was both teams agreed that after the first period, from what I can gather, that there was something not right with the ice surface.
Yeah. It's not the hump then.
Well, it could have been anything. I don't think it was the hump as a rule. We all know there are issues at Blackburn Ice Rink, but they are being dealt with by Planet Ice in an appropriate time.
Good.
And they have got things in hand. But as we all know, I'll just, from what I know, when Planet Ice did take on Blackburn Rink, they knew about the issues with the ice, but there were reasons why it couldn't be dealt with at the time.
Yeah.
But there are plans afoot to have it dealt with in good time. But, we've got hockey season underway, so there's only certain things you can do, really. You're stuck between a bit of a rock and a hard place. That's on that one. But first off, before we get stuck into other debates of other news and items of the week, I managed to catch up with a few players at the end of the game this weekend. First one was a familiar face, and I was a bit surprised to see him.
I managed to catch up with Matty Barlow on a bit of a bittersweet game for him tonight between the Bradford Bulldogs and the Widnes while they were in Bradford. Matty, you're now back with Bradford. Tough game tonight.
Yeah, very tough game. Obviously, 2 top of the table teams obviously going at it and stuff, and obviously it was a good game. Obviously, only a couple of goals in it, but obviously how it ended.
I mean, it's bittersweet. You played for Widnes last year, you played for Bradford before, but both teams dug deep, and it was a feisty game from start to end.
Yeah, it was obviously I wasn't playing for Bradford obviously last game, but obviously you were saying there was obviously a couple of cheap shots and stuff, and obviously they just wanted to get their own back, and I was like, well, it's not for me to get involved in that, but obviously I'm playing for Bradford and I've obviously got to do what I've got to do.
You've got a really strong squad there at Bradford, and it looks like it's going to be really competitive between the two teams for the rest of the season.
Yeah, Bradford's obviously brought in some big players from obviously like ENL1 and a couple of players from obviously ENL2, obviously the top teams, and obviously I reckon, to be honest with you, it's going to be Widnes and Bradford. It's going to be a lot of teams can take points from anyone have you seen this season so far, so it's going to be a good season.
Well, we'll keep it short and catch up with you again in the season at some point. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, cheers, thank you.
I've caught up with King Kenny Armstrong after the Wild were taking on Bradford at Bradford Ice Rink this evening, and Kenny, big important win for the guys.
Yeah, I think after the game away at Hull, I think we needed that one to show how we can play, and like we beat Blackburn, but this was the game to put it right.
Yeah, I mean, that game in Hull started off okay, but didn't work too well as a road game. But this one finally got a road win under our legs.
Yeah, it felt good. It's always a tough place to go for any team. And you've always got to battle hard there, and we shown we could do that now.
And it's a small pad, so they can pounce on top of you straight away, and you don't get much time on the puck.
No, not at all. It's always been like that when you go to Bradford.
And you proved it. You took a few penalties, but that's only because it's the type of game it is. Digging in, keeping it physical, but playing what's necessary.
Yes, I had to take my own penalties instead of sitting other people's.
It makes a change, but hey, that's all part of the game, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So a bit of a rest, and then we've got Blackburn away and Telford home next
Telford
weekend.
Home.
So you're looking forward to both of those games?
Yeah, should be good. Should be good to play Telford again. Hopefully put that wrong right again.
Well, it's been a long day, so we'll let you get some rest and we'll catch up with you next weekend.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So, yes, Matty Barlow is now back at Bradford. Yeah, it's sad to see that things didn't work out for him in the States, but we wish him well at Bradford. But it was actually a really good game at that rink. Have you been over to the Bradford rink at all, Andrew?
Still not.
Oh.
The next time we go over, I'm definitely going. I've told my wife it's a divorce otherwise.
We are in Bradford, for those of you who are thinking of going over next. Is the 16th of December. No, not the 16th. 15th of December, actually. It's the 15th and 16th of December. We have an away fixture, then a home fixture against the Bulldogs.
Yeah, that's a good.
And, yeah, the rink is a little bit smaller, I think.
I've heard about it. That's what I want to go and see. It's like a Lego rink, isn't it?
It's not quite. No, you're looking more. No disrespect meant. You're looking more like a Grimsby for that. Yeah. But the pad's a little. It's not. I don't think it's as short as Peterborough, but it is a little shorter and a little narrower. So the Bulldogs are able to pounce on you. You do not get any time at all on the puck. They can be so quick because where a rink like. Compare it taking Widnes as in the middle, in somewhere like Hull or Sheffield or the Nottingham pads, which are bigger, you get that bit more space to move. Yeah. So where you put a pass in, you can lay your passes where you think they're normally going, and you can either be a stride too short, a stride too long, or your angle's just that bit off. In Bradford, you don't get that time to even think of the shot because the opposing player can just pounce on top of you. They're right in your face. And it does make for a very, very high impact game in that way.
Literally.
Yeah. Well, and as a unique flavour, if you want to see some action from the Bradford game, there is some on our highlights package. So if you go through YouTube and just search for Widnes Wild or actually go to look at Widnes Wild's own YouTube page, and if you give it a like on that, as well as the hosting site, which is my own site for the highlights, on the Widnes Wild's YouTube page, you can give us a like, and the nearer we get to the magic 100, the sooner we can make it youtube.com/WidnesWild. So yes, but it's very tricky to film there because you're either right down at rink level or you're high up on the balcony, and the way the balcony is, you've got pillars and stuff in the way, and it was very tricky, but it was actually, I was surprised just how much I managed to capture.
Good, I'll be looking forward to watching that. Now, maybe you need a long selfie stick or something. You can either poke it down or poke it up.
In a manner of speaking, because the way the tripod worked, when you've got the legs out, it pushes the camera back a bit, and it needed to go forward. So I needed sort of one of these sort of elbow extensions on it, really, to send it out a bit further, so it didn't capture. But a big thank you, actually, and a couple of big thank yous to the people who stood around me as spectators while I was filming in Bradford. Do thank you all for being very, very well behaved. no shouting of naughty language anyway while we were filming.
Bradford fans.
And to Bradford Ice Rink for looking after us all and making sure I had access to an electrical point. And another big shout out to Bradford's goaltender Phil Pearson. He went off feeling rather poorly, and I think it was a puck or something caught him in the head, and it must have been a bit of a concussion he was taking or something like that, because he did go off and he was like, I could actually hear he was going to be quite ill.
Yeah, let's wish him the best.
So he has actually dropped us a message this evening. I've wished him well. He said he is still feeling a little bit woozy, but yeah.
Budgie took over then.
Yes. Budgie acquitted himself really well, actually. Yeah. Where are we? Goaltending stats for the weekend. I have a copy of the game sheet here. Yeah, 93% save average, actually, for Budgie.
Not bad.
Yeah, pretty well. So yeah, Budgie did himself proud. The game, actually, relatively speaking, was very low in terms of penalties. And
that's what I noticed as well. That's what I'm going to talk about a bit later.
And the goals were spread around the lines. Goals for the Wild, your YKK Widnes Wild, from Lee Kemp, 2 from Danny Bullock, 1 from Mike Novak, and the final one from our very own player coach Ollie Barron. The Bradford goals from Matt Viney, Josh Stockton, and Thomas Mitrick. So yes, it was a shout out actually to Tony Boynton, because I caught him at the end of the game, and he was his usual jovial self. He's always a good laugh to have a chat with. So yes, it was a very entertaining game actually at the weekend. It was well worth the trip over, and actually it was a very, very busy Bradford ice rink. I was, it was well turned out. There was people normally at we congregate at one end usually, on the balcony, and so I went down to the opposite end, the clock end of the rink on the balcony to film, thinking, it's going to be reasonably quiet, because it often is, and it was rammed. Yeah. But of course, there's like this there's like 6 of these sorts of window efforts, and I was accommodating one of them so that I could get the swing to keep the camera in shot. And basically, everyone was like sardines. So even if I hadn't have been there, it would have been not quite as sardine-y. So yes, it was actually really, really busy, but it made for a good atmosphere. Yeah. It was really nice. So yes, for those of you interested, again, our next game in Bradford is the 15th and 16th of December. So, what were you up to this weekend?
Basically not a lot, but as I said, there was this ice skating thing going on, with a group of us from the Wild fans decided to go and help out there, so tearing up raffle tickets and things like that, and also Julia took part in one of the demonstrations as well. And as I said, there's quite a few there. There's quite a few people from D-side as well. Many from the ice skating club, though not the ice hockey club, you can imagine.
What sort of what was the gala, the type of skating, sort of figures, or?
It was all figure skating, but you had like little 3-year-old girls on. Then you had more that had a very high standard. Kat, she's absolutely fantastic. She's about 24, something like that. And then you had a couple of teams on doing displays, and you had pairs. And it was quite fun. It was just lovely, and it was just, as I say, to raise money for a very good cause, mind. Yeah,
it is. Actually, we have there's an advert within the Halton Community Radio 92.3 FM adverts for Mind Halton. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm assuming that's connected with Mind itself. Yeah. So, yes, it is a very worthwhile charity. And I must admit, a lot of the mental health stuff going around these days, it is actually very important to pause and think and take a breath from time to time, otherwise you kind of get swallowed up.
Well, yes, that's it.
And one thing I will admit that helped me when I was having a bit of a tough time of things was the hockey, because it was just that escape. It just, you meet new people, you have a good night out. Yeah. And be it with ice hockey or skating clubs, sports clubs, something like that that's a social side of it as well as fun in its own way, it makes so much of a difference.
It can do, yes. You're getting out and meet people, aren't you? And because you see them sort of once a week, you don't get stuck into a rut like when you meet them at work and that, and then you might get a stigma about being somebody, and somebody plays on that all the time. So I'm not saying it's bullying, but you can keep going at you like they do with me, but I don't care.
Oh, actually, yeah. Our captain Simon Offord got his own back on me on the bus. We were getting on the bus in Bradford to come home, and Simon was doing a little bit of some kind of speechy thing as people were getting on and off the bus.
Was he drunk?
No. I think they were all.
Same for Simon.
I think they were all going for their post-match eats at a very nice. If it is, it would probably be at the very nice curry house over the road. I can't remember its name, so it's just a very nice curry house just over the road. Anyway, as I'm coming onto the bus, he decides to do an interview with me, really? And of course, he was very, very accurately mimicking my interviewing style, which is absolutely, completely on the fly. But tip my hat to Simon; he did a really good impression of myself.
When are you going to play it?
I haven't got it actually. I should have actually recorded it because it was actually quite funny. It was just the way he was doing his intonations and
which we can all see on radio.
But it's just one of those things the way that the guys all have a good bit of fun, and it makes the bench and the atmosphere for the guys as well.
It's the fans as well, of course.
So yeah. Oh, and. Again, a big thank you to our coach driver for the weekend. We had quite a bit of wind to cope with, especially on the way back.
We would be happy for the curry house, wouldn't we?
Well, we didn't go for the curry, but the bus was being buffeted as we came across the moors, and our driver really held things together and a nice smooth drive back. So yes, I would actually recommend coming on the bus. It's a good trip. Have a nice unwind, and we don't have to worry about parking or anything like that. If you have any comments to send to us, you can through our Facebook page, facebook.com/ttgw radio. We have our direct text number to us, which is 07716 672 874. And if I actually notice it, that you might also be able to catch us on with an email to radio@widnesworld.co.uk. And while I remember, I do have to give a quick shout out to Rich Charles when I can find the message. Where is it? He sent us a message last week to wish his wife happy birthday.
Well, I'd say a quick shout out to Anthony from Widnes past and present. It's his first time listening in tonight, and he's coming to see the match on Sunday, so that's a new starter for us.
Oh, there you go.
Hello,
a new YKK Widnes One newbie, but of course all welcome. But yes, so a belated happy birthday to Rich Charles' wife from him and everyone in the family, because I saw the message just before we came off air last week. Oh no! So if you have any messages like that you want to give out on air, we will definitely do a dedication.
Get them out at the beginning so we can read them.
Yes. In the meantime, I think we'll have a break for a song. And you've picked this one in particular, haven't you, Andy, for a reason?
Yes, it's if you've been following me, I have sort of quite quirky taste on the music over here. This one is a couple of girls, the sisters. Like most sort of families, they can harmonise very well, but this one's just a little bit different than you can imagine harmonies from two young girls. And I've met them, and they're amazingly funny. It's Daughters of Davis, can't even get the name right, Daughters of Davis, and Where Do We Go Now?
So don't forget to keep an eye out on your YKK Widnes Wild website for all of the fixtures, news and reviews at w's.widnesworld.co.uk. We can also find information about the community programme Learn to Skate Juniors and our sponsor information, and a big shout out as always to our sponsors. That's YKKR title sponsor, Sprakes and Son of Widnes, DMH Tyres, Ruxton Electricals, CL Woodworking, Nails by Alicia, and of course our chosen charity for this year, the Halton Haven Hospice. So Andy, what's coming up in the fixtures?
Okay, here goes the fixtures. Saturday 20th of September, which is already gone, so we'll start on Sunday the 21st of October. Widnes Wild versus Coventry Blaze, that's at Widnes. Face-off is at 5:30. The 27th of October, Coventry Blaze against Widnes Wild, Coventry at home, that's at 19:15. Sunday the 28th of October, Nottingham Vipers versus Widnes Wild Women. Face-off is at 17:40. And the Widnes Wild will be playing the Dragons, and the face-off is at 17:30, so 5:30 for that. And Saturday the 3rd of November, we've got the Widnes 15s versus Nottingham under 15s. That's a 10-7 face-off at Widnes. Now at D-side is an under 9s competition, and Widnes will be playing in that, and that faces off at 16:45. Then on Sunday 4th November, the YKK Widnes Wild versus Aldringham Aces. That's certainly going to be a cracker at 5:30. And
just
And
noticed a
that's it
typo.
there.
I've just noticed a typo now.
Have you?
I think there might be an under-13s game as well, but I need to double-check that on that day. I've just noticed I've put Grimsby Widnes under-13s on that day, so I need to double-check
Yes, you have,
that.
yeah.
We shall double-check that one when we have a little break in a minute and double-check those fixtures. But yes, the big one, of course, this coming weekend is a double game because we've got
Double header.
Blackburn away and then Coventry home.
Yeah.
Is that right? Blackburn, Coventry?
I've got it here.
I think I've made a mess of the fixtures for this
Oh
week.
dear, just throw them away.
Oh dear.
Just can't get the staff, can you?
Can't get the
lads?
staff, no. I'm going to double check our upcoming fixtures. Right. No, it's not Coventry, it's Telford.
My apologies. I'm sure
apologies.
it's my fault, even though I never wrote these
No,
out.
apologies, dear listeners. When I was writing the fixtures and the script for the show, and I know it's Telford for this weekend, I'm really, really sorry about that. But yeah, no, Sunday is Widnes Telford D2.
Poor Jen's already set off baking for that as well.
So it is Telford D2. Yes, definitely Telford D2. And the 4th of November, yes, we have Altrincham at home, and I'll check the under-13s fixture, because if we've got an under-13s fixture on the same day, we're going to be very, very busy, and I don't think we do. So we will check that right now with the help of the wonderous
Play another
internet.
song, Colin, I think.
Actually, before we do that,
Jill Gillingham.
we'll do this instead.
And now on Time to Go Wild Radio, it is time to sit back and relax and enjoy Mike Marr's Monday Mantra.
Tonight's game, we had a good game against Bradford. We played a strong game, both ends, put the puck to net a bit more, got some results from that. So great game tonight, very disciplined and played hard. That's what we want, full 60 minutes.
Join us again next week for more wise words on Mike Marr's Monday Mantra.
We'll have quiz time. I think it's about time we did that and check the rules, seeing that I've made a complete hash of the fixtures so far this week. The wonders of live radio, dear listener. Note to self, Colin, use the 6 Ps. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Unfortunately, I've dropped a bit of a clanger this week, but hey, that's what happens. Right, you make the call. The answers from week 4. Andy, hopefully you can see it on the other screen.
Yep.
It might be a little
Just
small.
about,
Let's see if we can make it a little bigger. There we go.
Yep.
Right. Here we go. You make the call. Right. Can you give a 2+2 high sticking penalty for accidental harm to an opponent under double IHF in-house rules? And our survey says...
Rule 143, high sticking, IHUK in-house rules. This rule remains as printed in the IHF rulebook with the following exceptions. Part 2 is not to be used. Any high sticking causing an injury in any league will be assessed as a match penalty to be downgraded to a 5+ game if the injured player returns to the ice.
So there you go. Accidental high sticks is 5 in game, come match, depending upon the level of injury. Okay, question 2 from last week. The first player to leave the player's bench during an altercation should be assessed what penalty? Andy?
Now that's the 2+2 game misconduct. Rule 141.7. The first player from either team to leave the player's bench or penalty box during a player confrontation on ice will be assessed a double minor penalty and an automatic game misconduct penalty. Subsequent players who leave the player's bench during a player confrontation will be assessed a misconduct penalty. Subsequent skaters who leave the penalty box during a player confrontation will be assessed a minor and game misconduct penalties. These penalties will be served at the expiration of the previous penalties. The act alone of leaving either the player's bench or penalty box constitutes a violation of these rules, even if the players do not engage in fighting when they are on the ice.
So yes, so there you go. It's the leaving the player's bench or leaving the penalty box penalties.
So don't go and pick up someone's gloves or helmet because it could be deemed as a penalty.
And question 3. A player is winding up for a shot and makes contact with an opposing player with his stick. Is it subject to a high sticking penalty? And the answer is...
Yes.
Ooh.
Rule 143. For a player who makes contact with any part of an opponent's upper body while winding up to shoot or while following through on a shot or pass is subject to all penalties for high sticking.
So that's last week. So there you go. So answers on a postcard for this week in the usual way. Question 1. A team official who is involved in a fight should be assessed what penalty or penalties? Ooh, a team official. Yeah, well, as far as I'm concerned, that would be straight out of the game. Now, would it be game or would it be match? So that's a... Question 2. Question 2. If a player refuses to surrender a stick for measurement when required by the referee or he destroys it, what penalty should they be assessed?
Should play on with a short stick if they break it.
Well, they're not allowed with a broken stick. I'm thinking if they refuse, they get a misconduct and they probably get an illegal equipment call.
Yeah.
It might be like a 2+10.
Yeah. It's like not presenting it, just sort of like, illegal equipment maybe,
Yeah. And question 3. A player makes physical contact with an opponent after the whistle has been blown and there was sufficient time to avoid contact. What penalty would they get? Interference, roughing or charging?
I'd go for roughing on that one.
It's a tricky one. I'm gonna go with interference based on something I was told once. But
well, what about the late tackle?
The late hit.
Late hit, yeah. Maybe that's
could be.
Now, yeah.
So there you go. Some possible ones there. So there you go, this week's questions, courtesy of the EIHA.co.uk #TeamStripies for You Make the Call. Now, while I've got a chance, I'm going to take another little breather for another song, and this one I'm dedicating to our, can I say?
Canteen lady.
No, I wouldn't say Mother Superior. Our caring, sharing friend Jen Hunt, because she looked after us on the bus with supplies of sugary comestibles and other food items, as well as making sure everyone was looked after.
Well
and all
done,
the buses
Jen, thank you.
was so sorted again this weekend for everyone to be looked after. And she is basically our resident Nickelback fan, and one I kept hold of from the other week, especially for her. This is Lullaby. So, a few newsy items. First off, the confirmation of the Under-13s fixture, Andy.
Yes, that's Sunday the 4th of November, and it is Widnes Under-13s. It is versus Grimsby, but it is in Grimsby at 16:30 face-off. So yes. The Wild are away to Grimsby, the Under-13s Saturday. Sunday the 4th.
So yes, because I thought, hang on a minute, I'm supposed to be emceeing the Under-13s game. So yes. Well, items of news. First one, well, we've already talked about a bit about the Hawks v Lions. As an unfortunate fixture, a good bit of news, in a manner of speaking, was the EIHA made a ruling on the YKK Widnes Wild Under-13s game against the D-side Under-13s, and it was a bit of a surprise, but the game has been awarded to the Wilds Under-13s 5 goals to 0, although they did actually lose the fixture 23-2 because of a ruling in the book that states that you should have a minimum of 11 players on the bench for it to be a recognised league game.
Yep, and a netminder.
Yep. So yes, apparently D-side,
2 points is 2 points.
Yeah, had 7+ goaltender. So yeah, 2 points is 2 points. So yes, it's good news in some ways, but that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, and we do know teams do struggle to get teams together. But the other big talking point, which apparently is going quite worldwide,
as well.
Yes, it is an under-13s fixture. It was in Billingham on Saturday. Billingham under-13s against Manchester Storm's Academy under-13s. And the score was, Andy? Yeah.
66-0.
66-0 to Manchester. And
how many minutes are in a game?
Exactly. I know you only have 60 minutes of ice time. It's made headlines not just in Britain but all over. I mean, it's just insane when you look at the game sheet. One player got 15 goals, one player got 12, another got 11. What can you say?
There's something wrong there, isn't there?
It's one of those things where the leagues have been put together with a structure, but on this particular occasion, it's completely thrown everything.
Yeah, and they are, I believe, when I was reading up on them, they are actually champions. Billingham. Yeah. And then they get 66-0 drubbing.
And when you actually look at it, you can't say, it was short benched, because ironically, Manchester had the shorter bench. Yeah. So what could you put it down to? Bad day at the office? Change of squad as well, because of course it's 13, so players might have been stepping up, and other players are playing up from the under 11. So some of the
I did hear it explained to me the legislation, but it was a bit confusing for me. It's on about when the birthdays are, they can actually play in a league above them.
Yes.
So sometimes you're a league above, even though you're supposed to be a bit older, you're not, you're actually younger. But it was all Irish to me.
Yeah, well, I know it happens a lot. I mean, Andy Daintith was explaining after the game in Hull about some of the junior lads. They can play for, say, 13s and 15s or 11s and 13s because of when their birthdays are. They have an opportunity to play up.
Yeah.
And, well, as anyone says, you always want to play against a harder level to improve.
Yeah, but the league wouldn't allow this, would it? Apparently it's the IHL. They said no to the propositions Manchester Storm put forward because they could see it first. Apparently that this was going to happen, so they took it up with the league, but the league said, no, that's it. You're doing it this way, our way, and that's it.
It's an unfortunate one because it's you want to make sure kids don't lose interest in the game and you keep going.
Well, that's it. If you're going to get like that, they'll start. People have been saying that, on social media will give your sort of reserve team a go. Say, but those lads want to play first team hockey.
Yes.
So if you don't get a game because the reserves are getting all the games, then they're going to go start playing football or something like that. You've got to play your best team. And again, for Billingham, it's not fair. Well, I'm not saying it's not fair on Billingham. It's a fair result, but they will get demeaned and they'll think, is it worth me doing this anymore? And there's got to be some sort of rotation about it.
I mean, you look at some of the results.
I think they've got 142 goal difference in 5 games.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
But you look at some of the results across NIHL D1 and D2. I mean, Blackburn Hawks D2, they are developing a lot of new players.
Yeah.
And sort of mixed results this weekend. It was a 5-10, Hawks 5, Altrincham 10 on Saturday.
D-side, 17.
And then it was 17-1 in D-side on the Sunday. And they did take a big, heavy defeat in Widnes. But then on the other hand, if you want to look at it from the Division 1 perspective, most of the games were fairly level, but the Hull Pirates against Solihull Barons game, and I don't think that would have been as one-sided as the scoreline says of 14-1.
Yeah.
But where those teams' histories come from and where the players are being sourced from, it can cause, at the way the leagues are at the moment, to be occasionally a very one-sided affair. But we will think the dust is starting to settle a bit, and you've got teams that are really picking up, and a team in D2 that were started off in the basement for the first 2 seasons pretty much and now are flying high. The Bradford Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Last year's team on the move were the Hull Jets. This year, it's Bradford.
They are sliding down again, though, now, aren't they, unfortunately?
But it's again the fixtures you've got. You look at 3 teams I've selected on the graph. If you go onto the IHA site, you can plot the graphs up, but you've got a couple of extra statistics, haven't you?
Yeah, what I've done is I've just rounded these up to... I know it's not going to happen because teams are going to be playing each other, but if every team in the league has played 9 games, there's going to be Telford on 15 points, then there's going to be the Aces, the Senators and the Wild, and Coventry. Now, you wouldn't think that, would you, of them being right up there? So that's 5 teams within 1 point, within 1 game of each other. And then you go down further down to Hull, Bradford, the Dragons and Paul Blackburn at the bottom. But also an interesting thing I've done is found out the goal difference, and Wilder 24 goal difference. That's over just the games we played. I've not averaged anything out on that. And the nearest to that is the Aces with 15. But the Aces are playing over half a game a man down. Their minutes have averaged out at 34.4 per game. Widnes are doing very well. I'm very pleased with this. It's 17.7 minutes. Almost, you think about it though, that's almost a period.
Yeah.
A man short.
But from the statistics you've got, typically most teams are playing around 15 to 17 minutes, weren't they?
Yeah. Hull come out best at 10 3/4. Then it's Blackburn with 15. Then 17.7 for Widnes. Senators 19.3. Then it's Bradford and the Dragons who are on 27.2. And then Telford 28.2. Aces 34.4. So we're third from the top. Yeah. So we're doing quite well. Excellent, in fact. Yeah. Well done, lads.
Well, you look at the league. You look at that league table. It's 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 points.
Yeah.
Apart from the Hawks D2, and I give them credit, they play hockey and they're going to get better, and they will get better, and they'll pick up points. But 8th through to 1st, it's Coventry and Telford both on 6 at the moment. Hull's on 7, but that's to be adjusted because there's a fixture missing. Senators are on 8, Dragons on 8, Bradford on 9, with Altrincham and Widnes both on 10.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically a point from team to team to team all the way up the table at the moment. Yeah. It's going to be a tight season. I think it's going to be tighter than last year.
It is. But as you can see, on this at the moment, Bradford seem to be sliding down from at the top, weren't they, until we lost against the Wild, the first game against the Wild. And since then they have been losing them, so I'm not sure what that's about.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a tough game for both teams on Saturday, and then they had a tough game in Sheffield. So, I mean, it can be quite a physical game on the Bradford rink because it's so small. So whether or not that took anything out of them, and the game in Sheffield went 7-3 against them. So there's still plenty to go. There we go. Telford will actually be on 7 points. Hull will be on 8 points.
Yeah, because you get a point for the away for the overtime.
Or 7. It could be on 9 points. Correct for Hull. So
Hull will be on 9. And Telford on
7. So it's 6, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, 10, 10. Yeah. But it's. But there's the team that's got sort of an extra hidden advantage, I think, at Telford, because they've only played 4 games so far.
That's why this is rounded
up. Or 5 games.
It is unfair because obviously we're playing Telford on Saturday. But this was just out of interest, just drummed up these figures. So the top 5, Telford, Aces, Coventry, Senators and the Wild are all within 1 point of each other. Yeah. If we all win the games, obviously it's not going to happen, but it just shows you how close it is.
It is. I mean, so far, I think the season has been tight. Every game that we've been to,
nearly every,
pretty much. You've got to fight. You've got to compete for 60 minutes. You can't take your foot off the gas.
Well, that's it. And last season I was getting frustrated with the penalties. I was earlier on this season as well, mainly because I don't like putting them on the board. But. This is the proof of the pudding. You're doing well, lads. Well done. Keep at it.
Yeah, well, I've just had a message come through from Jen Hunt saying, thank you for the song. And it's just our little way of saying thank you. But I mean, we hope everyone had a cracking trip on the bus at the weekend over to Bradford, and of course had a cracking trip over to Hull the previous week. This weekend for Blackburn, there is no bus.
No,
it's
not far
no
enough.
bus. It's only from the south end of Liverpool. It's an hour less from Widnes, straight up the motorway. But we hope to see as many of you up there on Saturday for when we play Hawks 2.
That's a place where you can't have horns, isn't it?
Isn't
it Blackburn? You're not allowed to have horns.
Well,
Air
it depends. Gas-powered air horns are one thing, but the pump air horn, I mean, it's not what I would call an air horn. It's more of a hooter. So, but whatever you've got, be loud, be proud, and support your team.
I'll just
whoever
use
you
my
are.
voice then.
I'll be probably in my little crow's nest in Blackburn, back row in my little box with my camera as usual.
Well, just don't sit in front of me, because otherwise you might get knocked out by me flying teeth.
Oh dear. They haven't fallen out when you've been shouting, have they?
Sometimes, yeah.
Oh dear.
You don't sort of fall out, you get ejected out.
Oh, well. So, yes. Oh, and, of course, wherever you go to enjoy your hockey this weekend, we hope you're going to make the most of it, because there's plenty of action across all of the leagues. And I'm actually quite frustrated this year, because I'm going to miss the Wild Women's first game of the season, because we've got a fixture on that day in Altrincham. Of all the places, it's Altrincham. If it had been
Hull,
if it had been Hull, it'd have been there. If it had been Sheffield, Telford, Coventry, it wouldn't have been so bad. But I'm going to miss the first home game of the season, and I'll give a big shout out to the Wild Women, because they've got, I think, sometimes half the squad's new this year. And
that was a good. I don't suppose you got a good loss, but it was a narrow loss. It wasn't expected to be that close, actually.
Yeah, it was a very tight loss. The Sheffield Shadows are a pretty well established team, and that was they put a few things out on their social media saying it was a massive team effort, and they've really built on what they've learned from their last game, and in training they've really improved. And the efforts and the fact that some of their games in the women's leagues can be at such strange times. It's
a long way as well, isn't it?
I mean, Sheffield's not so bad, but then they're down in Chelmsford as
Swindon.
well. And I'm not
Kingston upon Thames
saying anything against the places. It's just the fact that when they play and the times they play compared to when some of the other teams, thankfully within D1, so D2, we're fairly local for a lot of our games. And the furthest south really is probably Sheffield or Coventry, probably.
Wasn't it when we played Blackburn? I think it was Abby Coleshaw said she'd been playing down in Swindon or somewhere on a Saturday.
She was in Whitley Bay, I think she said.
That was on the morning.
No, she was playing for the GB women in the morning, but she'd been playing up in Whitley on the Saturday, I think it was, something like that. And then she'd been in Sheffield playing for GB women.
And then straight across.
Then came across to play for
against the Wild.
Like the commitment, absolute. I tip my hat to everyone out there playing hockey like that, because the level of commitment is just phenomenal, and the fitness level is fantastic. So if you're thinking of taking in a game this weekend, doesn't matter if you're one person or one of 1,000 people, your team will want you there just to be there. Just having a few people there makes that difference to any team that you're.
But another funny thing about the Blackburn match was Kenny Armstrong's beloved was on the Blackburn bench. Amanda.
Yes, our very own Amanda was helping out on their bench because of the coaching rules.
Yeah.
But that's what you do. You make sure we do our best to, whichever team you are, you make sure that the right people are there to sort the games out and make sure.
But it's nice to see, isn't it? Helping other teams out so you can get the game in.
Well, I've just looked at the clock and we're about out of time. Yes.
Wow, that's gone quick.
It has. It's been a pleasure having you in as always.
Thank you.
Many
more to come, I'm sure.
Oh, hopefully. In the meantime, I shall just do a quick sign off and saying wherever you're going to get your hockey fixes in the coming weekend, be loud, be proud, and enjoy yourself.
Thanks all for listening.
and I will be back on Thursday with Musical Mayhem with my Box of Delights radio show here on HCR from 9, and then of course back on Monday next week with more Time to Go Wild radio. Andy,
thanks very much for listening. God bless you all, and this will be An Everlasting Love from Natalie Cole. Brings us out of the show. Goodbye all.
And from me, for another week, ta-ra.